Welcome to the place where we highlight the talented, the interesting, and the entertaining from our area. No question about it. Tonight, waiting in the wings, former Miss New Bedford, former Mrs. Massachusetts, and reigning Mrs. Rhode Island, Miss Misti Nordstrom.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
And of course, the sidekick of the century, Mr. Chuck Turner. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Of the century.
Not just the week or the month or the year, the entire century.
The century.
Entire century. That's what I'm talking about. Well, Chops, before we get to the guests, we got to get caught up on the news a little bit here. So let's do that right now. You know, I saw a survey that Massachusetts has the best drivers in the entire country. Now, at first, I thought, wait a minute, that can't possibly be true. But then I was on the Bragger Bridge the other day, and then a man, he cut me off, he flipped me off, he told me to go F off and stay right in his lanes the whole time. Never left his lanes, right? Perfect, you know. Yeah, try that in Alabama, I'll tell you. Hey, Mister, you were never Miss Fall River, were you?
No.
Oh, okay, all right. No, we love Fall River. I love Fall River. We're always joking around, you know, that whole New Bedford Fall River thing. Well, that is, you know, a couple in Virginia get into a heated argument. So to cool off, they went for a ride. They stopped, they bought a lottery ticket, and then hit for $177,000. Imagine that. So if it wasn't for the argument, it never would have happened. So why do you get into an argument with Mrs. Chops on purpose and then go for a ride and see if you can hit the lottery too, you know? Huh? That's a bad idea, huh?
Yeah, imagine that. Oh man, you're making my head hurt, man.
You get into one of those arguments, you're gonna lose every time.
I'm telling you, man. Woo! Good Lord have mercy.
Well, you know, we got some news out of our nation's capital. You know, the Washington Redskins have finally decided to change their name since some say it's offensive to Native Americans. I know there's been a debate going back and forth. Or maybe this is one of those jokes I should have ran by you first. No, this is a good one. No, this is fine. Well, they actually don't have a name yet, but I have a name that I want to throw out there. I think they should just call them the Skins. You know, just the Skins. You know, like you know that Visine commercial. Take the red out.
Yeah.
Take the red out and leave with, and you get the Skins. No, but seriously, Chops, right?
The Skins, man. Come on, man.
You played sports, right? Remember how in the summertime? No, in the summertime it'd be like the shirts against the skins. You know, kind of.
Right. Thing. That's right.
So that just take the red out. We're in good shape.
That's the Skins. Oh yeah, we did that in gym class.
Yeah, the Skins. Yeah, the Skins against the shirts. You know?
That's right, Skins against the shirts. Yeah, that was good, Paul.
Did Misti didn't do that? No, I'm just kidding. No, is the guest still there? No.
Oh man. Well, you're bad.
Well, anyway, I want to tell you, you know, I don't know about you, but over the COVID thing, being home, and also for the July, I've been putting on a couple pounds there. You know, I know you can't tell from this angle because you can only see me from here up. But my wife was telling me the other day, you know, you're getting like this pot belly, right? You kind of see it. You can kind of see it from the side view.
Right,
so I said, no, you know, I don't think that's what that is. You know, like guys like me and Chops who get a little older, we get bloated. We get bloated as the day goes along. You know, it's not that I'm putting on weight. I just get bloated as the day goes along. So then one morning I got up and I said, honey, look, see how my stomach is nice and flat in the morning? She went, if you say so.
you know, women are with that.
Yeah, they just come right at you, you know. Well, I was noticing in the 4th of July pictures, right? I have to like suck in my gut, you know, like this, you know. The only thing is I can't suck in my man boobs, you know. It doesn't work. Is the guest still there?
Man, we have to go to the gym together.
Yeah, you and I are gonna be ripped.
Yeah, we're gonna be ripped, man.
We're gonna be ripped. Yeah, that's for the good of the show and everything. By the
Misti
way,
said these
one more
guys are
thing.
crazy.
One more thing, Chubbs, real quick. I
Yeah.
have you've been to my office. I have a very messy desk here. Really
Uh-huh.
messy. That's just the way I operate. That's what I do. But anyway, somebody bought me a paperweight, and it says right on the paperweight, a cluttered desk is a sign of genius. Now, I would have shown it to you right here, but I can't find it. Oh, anyway. All right. There's another successful monologue.
Oh, man, come on, man. My head hurts.
Well, Bay Coast Bank is one of our sponsors. We want to thank them. We also want to thank Duso and Zader. Okay. Well, let's welcome in our guest. She is fun. She is talented. She is beautiful. And she can sing. It's Misti Nordstrom. Hey, Misti.
Yes, sir.
How are you? Yeah, it's great to have you here tonight.
Nice.
Thank you for putting up with all our silliness over here.
Oh, okay.
So somebody said that Chops has the most loudest, contagious voice that you've ever seen. I think that's probably true. Believe me, we need all the help we can get. I can tell you that. Well, you know what? I gotta.
I don't even know what I'm laughing about, but he laughs and I just start laughing.
Who said that?
She doesn't know why you're laughing. She just knows why you're
Right. Hey, he's crazy.
Well, anyway, I really love that name. Misti. I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree. And I'm Misti and falling in love.
Yes.
I told you. You're going to put us out of business.
A lot of people ask me.
Hey.
That's my real name. That's the way they phrase it. Is that your given name? And I almost want to look at them and say, why would I make this up? It's not the name that, I think I would choose, but it is my name. My father actually chose the name when he was young. He used to watch a show about a horse called Misti of Chattanooga way back in the day. And he said, if I have a daughter, I want to name her Misti. It's named after the song or the movie that was played. Misti. No, none of that. It was after Misti of Chattanooga, the horse. So.
Well, the only horse I know is Mr. Ed.
Yeah.
But that was a different show.
I never saw Misti of Chattanooga, but I guess it's a classic. They have like a novel, and then they made a movie. And that's kind of my mother, I guess. Yeah, my mother wanted to name me Jennifer, stick with something pretty traditional, and then he won the war. So
absolutely, yeah. But I love that name. That's a beautiful name. So let me ask you a little bit about you coming up the ranks. You did grow up in the New Bedford area, correct?
Yes, I did, right in the west end of New Bedford, and I lived there until middle school. And my parents then moved to Dartmouth, and I went to Dartmouth High School. I always have stayed in the local community. Fairhaven, Dartmouth, New Bedford, so the greater New Bedford area, and I feel like it will always be home. And I now work in New Bedford, as you know, and I really don't see myself leaving the community. It's really just a part of who I am.
Well, you told me before when I spoke to you that you were actually a middle school teacher at Keith Middle School. I thought to myself, wow, middle school is like the toughest age group. Obviously you're a pageant winner and so forth, and usually you think, wow, somebody's going to be like a tough guy, get into middle school and all that. But
hey, well, I will say this, a few things. First of all, pageant girls are tough.
You're able to connect with these kids somehow, right? How do you do it?
I think middle school, it really does get a bad rap. Middle school kids are just seeking approval and love, and they want to be successful. And so for me, helping them achieve their goals and letting them know that I care about them is really part of the making the connection. But I think they're just misunderstood. They are so much fun, and they keep me on my toes. They help me be the best educator that I can be. They have a lot of walls up, and rightfully so. Some of our students in this community have really been let down. They've been let down by other adults or by friends. and they're looking for someone they can trust, and they want to see that you really care and you're not just there for the lip service or there, you know, just to tell them what to do. They want to know that you're really in the trenches with them and that you are committed to helping them become the best people that they can be. And so for me, the challenge is breaking down those barriers. And as a teacher, I think a lot of teachers can relate to this. It is addictive. I love those days that I have those great conversations with my students, or I see a child that, you know, maybe wasn't applying him or herself, and all of a sudden something clicks and you start seeing them now go around and help other students. And the joy that that brings to me to see that they're proud of who they are, that's really what it's about. And that's why I kind of miss being in the classroom. I miss seeing my students every day. They give me a lot of motivation and inspiration. So I think maybe teaching isn't for everyone, but for me, it's the only thing that I want to do.
All right. Well, tell me how you got involved in, you know, going to the pageants and stuff like that, because, you know, a lot of kids, they come up and they're thinking, gee, to be a pageant person and to be successful in it, you have to have the kind of confidence that it takes to get up on stage and perform and sing and, you know, win the judges over and stuff like that. How did you do all that?
And I think this is another great example of why I think I'm able to connect with my students, is that I was not the confident middle schooler or even high schooler. I was really shy and I lacked a lot of confidence. And anyone on the Misti Bedford committee can tell you that I am not making that up. I really showed up on their doorstep like this deer in the headlights, and I did not know anything about pageantry. The way I found out about it was reading the Standard Times. Yes, I was a total geek, and I was reading the newspaper in high school. So I saw the ad, Miss New Bedford seeking contestants, and I remember saying to my mom, hey, they give you scholarship money. And I was a college student at the time, and I was like, you know, I think I want to try this. And I'm not even, this is the truth. My mother looked at me and she says, oh no, you can't do the pageant. Like, you don't have any training. Those girls are going to eat you alive. Like, you don't belong doing the pageant. And I said, well, I'm just going to try. I'll probably have to do it a few times, and I'm sure I'll learn. And it's free to enter, so I'm just going to try. And so I honestly thought it would take me a while to, you know, learn what I needed to know so that I could win. And on my first try for Miss New Bedford, I won. And I was as surprised as everyone else. I really was not expecting that. It was really one of the greatest moments of my life, because at that time it meant so much. It was really, it was almost like this metamorphosis. I was changing from this shy,
well, I'm sure it did,
frightened young girl. And the Miss New Bedford committee, I had an amazing group of people. They didn't change me, but they helped me kind of come out of my shell and give me the confidence and the skills that I needed to then continue on a successful year as Miss New Bedford.
At some point, you know, you were saying about being a geek and all that, you know, like at some point you must have turned the corner there. You know what I'm saying? You know, you gotta don't you think so, Chops?
I was really into like academics when I was in school. I wasn't a cheerleader. I wasn't an athlete. I was not a homecoming queen. I was kind of a nerd, and I really loved science classes and my binders.
No, you can be, you know, an attractive lady, which you are, but also be very intellectual. And so, how am I doing, Chops? Am I doing all right?
You're doing okay, man.
I appreciate that, and I think, to be honest, sometimes it does come as a disadvantage at points when I remember a few years back, I went for a job interview. I didn't go to the interview with a crown on and a stash. And I was just very appropriate for a job interview at this private school out in Rhode Island. And I will never forget that for the one moment I felt so discriminated against by this other woman. It was for a science position, and I have been teaching for almost 20 years, and I have a master's degree in education, and I was teaching physics at a high school level. And she looked at me very judgy, you know, and she said, how comfortable are you going into the outdoors? Like if we have a lab outside. And I knew what she was kind of insinuating is that, you know, I was too fancy to go outside, or how will I teach science in heels or whatever. And I kind of just, I was really taken aback because that's just so ignorant.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and honestly, I was really offended, and I think that happens, and that's something that I really think is a key, is that, you know, we really can't make judgments of people, regardless of what we're judging, that they're, you know, intelligent or not, or they're, you know, athletic,
well,
or they're not, or
I think things have changed a lot. Like when you see like an old movie, right? You see like old movies of like, they always had like a ditzy blonde, you know what I mean? They never had somebody that was intelligent, you know?
Yeah, and you know, Paul, I have to confess, I'm naturally blonde, and so about 15 years ago, I did change my hair color. It did help. I really feel like it helped a lot. People started taking me, you know, looking at me in a different way, and I don't ever want to, personally, I don't want to be blonde again, but I like proving people wrong, though. I think it's fun, and I think it's something that we need to keep people on their toes, and you know, especially right now with everything that's going on in the world, there's a lot of conflict and a lot of hatred, and a lot of it starts with judgment. And I think if we eliminate that, and instead we just give people a chance to get to know them as a human being, that would change so much. And that's, you know, even in my classroom, when I look at my students, I'm not making assumptions. I want to get to know each one, and really give them the opportunity to show me who they are, and not, you know, listen to what another teacher might have said about them, or go into their file and say, well, last year Joey got a B, so this year he can't get an A. I really think it's important for us to give people a chance, and to give them the opportunity to show us who they are instead of making judgments.
It's true.
Well, we have somebody here that's saying that they miss you, one of your students, you know, they're saying hello, they miss you in the class and so forth.
Okay. Well, that's sweet, and I do miss a lot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty nice.
I didn't hear you, Paul.
He keeps freezing up.
What did he say, Chops? I couldn't hear him.
He keeps freezing up. He keeps freezing. Yeah, it's funny.
Over here. Oh gosh.
Boy, you keep freezing up, man. Oh man.
Oh, no. But Paul, we were talking a few weeks back about one of my former students that you know, and you know, you both know Jordan Paiva, who is one of my former students.
Yeah, yes.
And I still stay very much in touch with him, and I was at his wedding, and he took me to see a Josh Groban concert last year. So yeah, I think as teachers, you know, we had those opportunities to really reach our students and make these lifelong bonds and connections. It's really a special situation that we have, and have our students, you know, want to continue speaking to us. I have kids who, you know, reach out to me, and they're going to, you know, they're going to medical school now, or they have a family, and it just really means a lot to me, because, you know, I'm humbled by that, to think that I may have made a difference in their life in some way. Responsibility that we have, and I don't think that we take it for granted one minute.
Now, you, after becoming Miss New Bedford, you then decided later on to participate in the Mrs. So-and-so, like Mrs. Massachusetts, and now Mrs. Rhode Island. So like pageants, you always think of, you know, okay, the young girls in their 20s, Miss this and Miss that. You thought it was important to, you know, pursue pageants after that.
Yeah, I really didn't see myself continuing in the pageant world. After Miss New Bedford, I got married. I have two beautiful children, one who is going to be a senior this upcoming fall at Utica College, and my younger daughter is starting her freshman year of high school. And so I really was invested in my family and spending time with my girls and my husband. But I found out about the Mrs. pageants, and I thought, oh, that's weird. Like, why would a woman, if it's not for scholarship money, why do you want to go into a pageant? Like that just seems weird. But as I learned more about it, I was really intrigued. And what I found out is that I can continue working on my platform, which is helping people sign up to become organ donors and working with New England Donor Services, who is we work with Donate Life America. And really this became a desire for me because I was kind of on this mission to educate people about what organ donation can do, what's involved, and what the options are. And as Mrs. Massachusetts, that happened in 2012, I was able to campaign and go around and help over 3,000 people sign up to become registered organ donors. And I also helped New England Donor Services with a lot of different charities and fundraiser events that they had. And I was able to go and speak at a variety of events across the state. My brother passed away when he was 23 years old in a tragic motorcycle accident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He had made a decision to be an organ donor, and we had not had a conversation about it. I didn't know that was his desire. And when it happened, I was really upset, and I was disappointed. I was angry that, he made that decision. I thought it was the wrong thing. And I was educated about what organ donation can do and how they do respect the person's life that has been lost. And I became connected with the organization. And I saw that they really had a need. We have over 100,000 people on a waiting list for organ donations. And if they don't receive these transplants, they're going to die. So Some people are days away from death. And if people make the simple decision to sign up when they get their license, or even afterward, they can just go to registerme.org and sign up to be an organ donor. You have the ability to save multiple lives. I decided to work as Mrs. Massachusetts for that year, and I made so many connections in the community, and I really became so invested and so dedicated because the people that are involved in New England Donor Services are the most amazing people on this earth. So I stopped my pageantry for a few years, and I didn't think I would ever do another one. I'm kind of getting older, and when you're part of the Mrs. organization, you just have to be married. So, you can't be 21 and be a newlywed and compete. And they don't treat you any differently if you're in your mid or late 40s and you're competing against, I had at Mrs. International, I had some contestants who were younger than my daughter. So, and when we're judged, when we're judged on stage, they don't really care. That's not, you don't get an advantage or a disadvantage. So I just looked at it like, I'm here, I think in pageants, what people have to recognize, or what I would like them to know, is that for the women who participate, we're in there for different reasons. We're on our own journey. For some of us, it's about, finding ourselves. Like when I was Miss New Bedford, it was about self-discovery and becoming a more, articulated woman and not being afraid to kind of speak. This is Massachusetts. It was really to work on this platform. And now as Mrs. Rhode Island, I did it as my last hoorah. I kind of said, I was turning 45, and I said, I want to do one more pageant, and I want my kids to see that, it's okay to take a risk, and it's okay to put yourself in a situation where you don't feel comfortable, but that helps you become stronger. I looked at this time, I wanted to have fun, and
that's great. It sounds like you did, but I got to tell you, and I think Chops would agree with me on this. No, like you see, from my vantage point, you see like a younger women, early 20s. Well, okay, obviously attractive and so forth, but an accomplished woman, older, beautiful, and so forth. I think they're even more attractive in some ways than the younger girls.
I think I definitely would not ever want to go back to being in my 20s. I think that
exactly.
Right now, I feel so much more confident and proud of what I've achieved, and I've gone through struggles that I feel like allow me to connect with people in a different way. Having children, being a mother, being a wife, there's so much more that I feel like I can offer people. I went to Mrs. International. It was in West Virginia last July. I was with 80 other women from around the world. And so we were from all different walks of life. Some women had to have translators. We had Mrs. Vietnam, Mrs. Japan, Australia, Ukraine.
Oh, it's great.
It was amazing. And we were all different ages. we had whole different backgrounds. There were women who were lawyers, women who, I met one that was a scientist who was, really working on something with Alzheimer's disease. And so we were able to really talk about things that I felt were so unique and so, talking about our families. So we were all married, but women were just newlyweds. Others, I've been married for 22 years.
So you guys could talk about your husbands.
Most of the women did bring their husbands with them, but mine chose to stay home because he has to run a business. He was like, his words were like, "Do I have to go with you? I will do whatever you need, and I'll support you. Do you really want me there?" And I said, "No."
You didn't want to go?
No. He was like, schedules. I told you earlier that our schedules, we were on a shuttle bus at 7 a.m. We didn't come back to the hotel until about 11 p.m. at night. So I wouldn't have had any time with him. And he really is not into,
wow.
I mean, this is what I choose to do, but it's not his thing.
Right. Yeah, right. No, it's good. And it's good to have your own, independent, stuff that you like. By the way, someone says here, Jillian, hands down, one of the best teachers I've ever had. And following along your journey. Somebody else says, "Hi, Misti, love you, miss you." So it's really great. You have your fans out there.
Wow.
And, I was saying,
Jillian is one of those frontline healthcare worker heroes. During this pandemic, I've been kind of, keeping an eye.
We need them, especially right now. We understand that Misti has decided to do some singing for us tonight. Kind of like we've asked
all right.
before. So Misti's going to try to do something for us a cappella. You ready to go?
Okay. Well, I'm going to.
All right, here you go. Here's Misti.
Right.
Here we go.
I have to get in the mood. Each day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart for every game to taste the sweet. I face the pain. I rise and fall. Yet through it all, this much remains. I want one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be. When all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. Then in that one moment of time, I will feel eternity. Okay, that's all I got.
All right, how about that? Wow. Ooh, man, I gotta tell you. Oh my goodness.
Because Whitney is like my idol. I know I don't sing like Whitney. I'm not trying to be Whitney. No one can be Whitney.
Wow.
But that song was from the Olympics, and that was the song that really made me love singing and love Whitney Houston. And I just thought, why not?
That's a great rendition. Your rendition was a great rendition.
Great.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
That was great. Fantastic. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so what are your future plans coming up?
Well, I'm worried about the back to school situation. I'm obviously anxious to get back in the classroom and see my students. I think we need that, and the kids really need to be in a school setting, but I want it to be safe, and I know that all the teachers feel the same way. So I'm just hoping that everything works out and we can just get back to school and get back to learning. And that's going to be kind of what my next goal is really to have a great school year, help my students and any gaps that they may have, developed during this closure, to fill those gaps. And obviously help my kids make sure that they're okay. That's really my biggest objective in life, is to be a good mother and help my children. And
of course,
for fun, I think when the pandemic ends and we can kind of, travel again. I've never left the country, I was telling you earlier, and I have invitations now to travel all around the world with all of my new friends that I've met at Mrs. International. So I know that Singapore, Mrs. Singapore and I made great friends, and Mrs. Australia. And so I'll probably go with my daughters and travel and kind of experience their countries and their hospitality there, and then one day welcome them to come back and visit here.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Well, when you bring like Miss Singapore and Miss Australia, you can have them come on the show. What do you think, Chops?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be great.
Done deal. And actually, I think they would love that. And neither one needed a translator, so that'll be easy.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, somebody said hello too from City on a Hill. Miss Monty from City on a Hill is saying hello tonight too. So yes. So you got a lot of.
I had the most amazing people that I worked with at City on a Hill, and I miss them all terribly, and a lot of my students. It was definitely heartbreaking because I don't think I'm ever going to have the connection that I had, with the people. So the one detail that I left out about Mrs. International, I mentioned that my husband didn't go with me, but there was a teacher, my dear friend Nicole, she was an English teacher at City on a Hill, and her room was across the way from my science room. And she had never been to pageants. She never knew anything about pageants, but she and I were great friends. And she said, I want to go with you. I want to go see what this whole pageant thing is about. And I was kind of afraid for her. I'm like, I don't think you're going to like this. And she was so, helpful and encouraging and supportive. And she had done some Ironman competitions, and she's like really athletic. And she said to me, what you girls do in this pageant thing, I don't know what's harder. She was like, because you're on your feet all day. Like we would be, out in the heat for, 10, 12-hour days and constantly on. And she said, I don't know how you're able to do this. I think it's, again, just learning more about each other and developing like a respect for people that are different from, have different interests than we do. It makes your life so much better, so much more fulfilling and fun. And I think it doesn't close you out of having all these great experiences.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's interesting because you were talking about teaching before, and I can remember being in school, and there were certain teachers, I really liked a lot. The other teachers I didn't like at all. Certain teachers just had a knack, for connecting with the kids, and the others didn't. But, I'm thinking to myself, right? I bet you are like considered like one of the cool teachers, like, you know what I mean? Like when I was in middle school, it was like, no. When I was in middle school, it was like sit down and be quiet. It's
pretty tough. Believe it or not, I think my students would tell you I'm pretty firm. I'm very fair, and I like to have fun. But when it's time to get the work done, the only way I'm going to be able to teach my students like the curriculum that they need to be successful is we have to know when it's time to work, and it's all business when it's time. So I think that they appreciate that I do have really high standards, and I have a lot of structure and routine in the classroom, but I also know when it's okay to like loosen up a little bit and have fun. But I work with all very young teachers. They're brilliant, and they're all like very young. They're young enough to be my children. They're in their early 20s, and they are very cool. They are very hip. So I'm kind of like the old lady of the group, but my students, when they need to get a Band-Aid or they're having a bad day or, they need like mom advice, they come to me.
Oh, come on, the old lady of the group. You got to be kidding me right now.
They're all like, they're 20, 23, 24, and
they're kids. They're kids,
And so the kids actually do really connect with them because they're also really great teachers, and they're very fun. But I think it's really just, you have to be yourself. And so my students know that I want the best for them. So I'm going to hold myself to the same standard that I hold them to. So the advice I give them all the time is you have to be positive and you have to be prepared.
Yeah. Well, I remember the teachers, you could tell when the teacher cared, when the teacher didn't care. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I've had those too. Yeah. They just kind of show up for the job and, they're not really there. and I think that's a disappointment because they're missing out. The teachers are missing out on really seeing what it's like when you give, you get back what you give. So it is a reciprocal relationship. But for me, when I tell my students, are you prepared and are you being positive? You know, you need to be those two things. And I ask that of myself. I tell my kids that, you know, both of my kids are very competitive and they're in sports and they're great students. So since they've been young, I've said, you know, were you prepared and are you being positive? Because outlook, you know, having a good outlook is half of it, but you also have to be prepared. If my students aren't studying or they didn't do their homework or they're not paying attention, they're not going to be successful. So, you know, I just tell them, don't listen to the lies. When people tell you you can be anything you want to be, that's only half of the story. They are not, if you want to be, you know, a professional, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an astronaut, okay, we support you, but this is what you're going to have to sacrifice. This is what it takes. We give our kids that whole message and tell them that we're going to help them do it, but it doesn't just happen because you wish for it to happen. You have to make it work.
Now, you did really well in that Boston television program, Community Auditions.
I had never done American Idol or, you know, any of The Voice. And a lot of my students, you know, they knew that I sang and they're like, why didn't you go on one of those shows? And I don't know. I think I'm at a point in my life that that's not really the direction that I would want to go. But I do enjoy singing, but it's not what I want to do for a career. So my husband found out about community auditions and he kind of dared me, and I think he bribed me. He was like, you know, if you try out for that show, I'll buy you any pair of shoes you want. Like, you pick out the shoes. I support you 100% because I want you to go on the show. And I was like, why do you care about community auditions? What is it with that show? And he's like, oh, it's fun. It's on Sunday. I watch it on TV and I keep seeing it and saying, you need to be on that show. Why don't you get out there? And I had to audition actually at Mohegan Sun to be selected to be a contestant on community auditions. So I did that, and a few weeks later I got a call that I had to go to Berklee School of Music and you know, in Boston and go in and compete. So I showed up early that morning and they kind of just, you know, walk you through what you have to do. There's a live band that performs. You tell them the song that you chose, and then the judges are right up on the stage and they judge you right on the spot, and it's all on TV. So while you're singing on stage, you know, they have the camera booms like zooming around you and an audience. So it's pretty intimidating. It was definitely something that I was like, whoa, this is really happening. But I, again, didn't have a lot of expectation. I just wanted to do my best. And there were some professional musicians there, some students that were music students. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do my best. And I sang a song from Jekyll and Hyde from a Broadway musical. And I didn't really know what the judges would think of it because it wasn't something that was like current or hip hop or pop music, but they loved it. And I ended up winning the episode. And what people might not realize is once you win an episode, you go down, you go backstage, you change your clothes. They get 2 other contestants to compete with you, and you come out again. And the show starts up again. And so I ended up winning multiple shows that same day. And I sang I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston as my second song, which I knew was risky because I said, well, again, I can't be Whitney.
That must have been so much fun, though, you know?
And yeah, and so I won, and I was really like, oh, wow. I have one of the trophies. I'll show you. I brought it here.
Just happen to have it there?
This is really what I...
There it is.
You're welcome, fame.
The episode, yeah. And so that was really what I wanted. When I saw these, I was like, they're so pretty. I want one of those.
That's great.
That's great.
So, Misti, any more pageants left in you after this? I mean,
well, I know that I said, you know, I was done and I was done before. So I'm going to say I never say never to anything.
Never say never.
I never say never. But I will say that I'm very satisfied right now. And it was a lot of work. I worked really hard this year. I was at many events, and there were days that I would work a full day of school and then get in my car and drive over to Rhode Island and, you know, do a fundraiser there or show up at an event to speak at a hospital. So I definitely need a little bit of a breather and some resting time. But I think it's something that I really enjoy, and I don't take it too seriously. I have all the clothes now. I have a perfect wardrobe for any pageants. I'm ready anytime. So I'm going to keep the door open, but I'm going to say that right now I'm fine with not being in a pageant for a while.
It's always fun chatting with you. Chops, I'm sure, agrees with me. You're a beautiful lady. You're a great teacher, I'm sure, from listening to the comments along the side over here. People are saying you were their favorite teacher. And now Jordan Piper, I know he was the kind of acting up. You have to kind of settle him down a little bit. But no, people really enjoy your class from what I can see, and your singing and so forth. So again, when we're back in the studio down the road after we get past all this COVID-19 stuff, we'll have you come back, and then you could sing a duet with the big guy over here.
The big guy is small, man.
A whole show, Chops. You and me.
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to.
All right.
I would love to.
List, I'll practice, and we'll be ready. We'll be good to go.
All right. That sounds good.
Misti, hey, thank you very much. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. It was
and
so
you sound so very awesome too. You sound very awesome. Thank you. You too.
All right. Misti. Oh my God, we're having these damn technical problems again, Chops.
Oh man, I couldn't stop laughing, man. You could see your face.
Was I frozen again? You know what I did after that? I just kept going like this. That way, if I froze, at least I'd be smiling. You know. If I want to freeze, I want to freeze with a smiling face.
Hey, we thought you got abducted again. Saw the UFO here in New Bedford, man, South Coast.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that after we were talking about it and everything, right? We were talking about the UFOs and all that, and then all of a sudden people were like, hey, we saw one, you know?
See?
So, yeah, so, you know, that when we were talking to Jim Andre, you know, people were thinking, but, you know, the guy, he's not alone. He's not alone.
Good stuff. The mushrooms must be really getting to him.
Hey, by the way, I want to let everybody know, you know, the Chops Turner virtual show every Sunday night. And last night you were singing, "Turn Your Love Around," and then you like spun around. Like, oh man,
spun around, went out the window.
Yeah, you went into that spinorama, and I'm like, oh, big fella, take it easy, you know.
My wife almost fell through the window. My wife, she said she would have taped that. She would have been dying.
It's like, hey, honey, you gonna help me? No, I'm still taping it, you know. Well, we got some good guests coming up for the next few weeks. Maria Forts from the Coalition for Social Justice will be here. We also have, remember that lady we had on, that young woman we had on virtually, and we kept freezing up that night too. The young woman from the Salty Lips, Robin Martinez.
Oh, Lord.
Well, as soon as we got back in the studio, I figured I'm going to send a message out to see if we can get her to come in the studio, you know? So she said, oh, sure, I'll come down to the studio. So that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big one.
That's going to be hilarious.
That's going to be a big one. Well, you know, she dresses up as all different stuff, you know? Maybe she'll make us dress up in some costume or something, you know?
Yeah, she got all kind of costumes.
Yeah, some you're going to want to dress up and some you're not going to want to. You might be a little past your feet there. Yeah, you could be a little past your feet. I think we're not past that peak. It's not over yet. All right. Well, you're going to the Big Apple tomorrow, the big city, huh?
Yes, sir. We're going. Right? Matter of fact, I got the call before you called me, and got to be up for 7. Be there for 7:45 at my mother's house. Park my car. We're all going up together, 3 of us, and we meet the other guy from New Jersey in New York, in Manhattan. And we're going to Manhattan to do some video clips of our new song called "Enough Is Enough."
Oh, that's going to be great.
That's going to be great. So yeah, I'm gonna do some other things too. My own shots, you know, besides the thing we're doing. And say Paul Santos, don't forget to tune in to Paul Santos shows every Monday.
Yeah, I need all the help I can get, actually.
Me too, brother.
All right. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our guest tonight. She's actually still there, so I'm going to wave to her, Misti Nordstrom. Thank you again, Misti. Thank you for being on tonight. Next week we have another former Miss New Bedford. We're kind of on a roll with all these, all these beauty pageant winners' chops, but that's okay.
Hey,
we like to do that. Olivia Marks, who Misti knows. Misti knows Olivia Marks.
Yes. Oh, very well. And it's another testament that there's so much.
Yeah, so she's going to be on next week, and so we'll have some fun with that. Oh yeah, every year I always have the winners, come on, and it's always a lot of fun. And they talk about, how they learn to sing or they learn to do whatever they did to persuade the judges to vote for them and gave them.
I think Olivia plans on being a teacher in musical theater or music.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah, right.
In New Bedford school, she wants. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so that's going to be great. All right. Well, thank you very much, the Chops. Thank you to Misti, and thank you all for joining us. And hopefully you'll check us out next Monday night right here at 7:30 the Paul Santos. So thanks a lot, and have a great night.